Well, people of all ages and all sizes, it's Cole Poots, and as you can see, my cat here, Miller, is gonna join me. Got my coffee mug that fits the occasion. This is just beautiful. This is a beautiful occasion, guys. I really had no idea. Here, Miller, we gotta move closer so they can see us. All right, yeah, Miller's gonna be in the video. Um, yeah, I really had no idea as to what I wanted to speak about or talk about today. And I was reading through my old journal entries from earlier this year, and I found one that was all about California and the great outdoors. And it just made me think, like, dude, like, I really miss the fact, I really miss the idea of traveling. Like the last trip I went on, and not even that it was a big trip, but I'm pretty sure the last time I went on a trip was when Dakota and I went down to Lawrence, Kansas to see Earl Sweatshirt perform at the Granada. It was just like a little bros trip. It was only, I think, like maybe 4 hours to get down there. The last time that I flew on a plane was probably back in 2018 when I went to California. I went out to Sky Valley, Indio, actually the place where they do Coachella. That was the last time I was out there. And I just miss it, man. I miss being able to travel. I miss being able to go to events. I'm actually going to a concert on January 23rd. My buddy Pico de Psycho is going to be performing at Woolies, so that's pretty dope. It'll be nice to finally get out and actually do something. Yeah, man, I don't know. I miss being around people. I've been talking about this a lot with people that I run into, but I really think at the end of 2020 and to start here 2021, a lot of things are in chaos, but we're not really around people enough. And I've noticed that within me, it's been hard, especially in December, in the start to this year in January. Um, since I'm at my apartment a lot more, the school semester ended back early December, the fall semester. I have just not really been around people as much as I'd like to. Like, pretty much the only people that I'm around is, like, I see my family every once in a while, and then I see people at my job, the people supported that we work with. I see them, probably 4 times a week, but I don't really have any deep genuine connections, and that sounds terrible because, like, I know I have family members that care about me, love me, and want to see me do well and thrive. And then I have friends that I can count on and rely on, but we're all at this like critical age where we just can't, we're not around each other a lot. I mean, one, because of circumstances, because of everything that has happened over the last year. But we're all just getting older, and we all have our own separate lives that we're chasing. And I'm kind of happy too, because I think one other thing that has really bothered me in December and January, and once the school semester was over, is that I kind of lost a huge part of my routine and my schedule, is having my classes in the mornings and whatnot. And that's always been a way for me to have structure. And I think structure is a really good thing for people that are prone to anxiety or depression. Having a structure, having a routine, having a schedule is a good way to iron out what you're going to do for the next day. And that, not having that lack of structure and routine has just kind of made me be a madman and spend a lot more time in the apartment. I find it harder to challenge myself to get outside when I know that there's not many things that I could do. And then I've also played a lot more video games, which I'm not going to complain because I started playing Red Dead 2, Red Dead Redemption 2 again. I've already played it before, but I went back through the storyline, and I'm still thoroughly convinced that it is, without a doubt, the best game that I've ever played for so many reasons. I mean, the content is beautiful, like the graphics, the scenery, the open roam. Like, there's so many different things that you can do. There's so many different interactions in that game. Like, just different scenarios that you can go through. Like, everybody that you come across, like every character, not even like main important characters, but just like random people that you find on the streets in the game. You know, it's just amazing the amount of depth that Rockstar put into that game, and it's been a great joy to get back into that. But yeah, going back to like the structure and the routine, like I'm really happy that next week on the 20th we start classes again, and I'm honestly just ready for it. Yeah, this is supposed to be my last semester in college, pending the results if I actually stick with it and finish. Yeah, I have to take practicum, which will be like doing stuff for the Simpsonian, which is here in Indianola, the college that I go to, Simpson College. Shout out to Simpson College. They have the Simpsonian, which is their newspaper, and I've done one semester of practicum for that before, and that's when I would write sports stories, which this time around I kind of want to do something more geared towards doing interviews with people, shooting some video, editing audio, stuff that I already do, you know, with the podcast and like this YouTube channel. So that'll be exciting. And then I have my capstone class, which I have no idea what that's going to entail. And then I have my internship. I started my internship today, and I'm doing it with this guy named Matt, Dr. Matt Maggio. He's actually supposed to come on the podcast on Friday, so be looking forward to seeing that video in your timeline here soon. But he's a super awesome guy. He's gonna kind of show me the ins and outs of, you know, how to run a business, how to sell yourself, how to advertise yourself, really just make yourself marketable. Like anytime that you have a product, you have to figure out ways to get it to your audience, like the people that you're trying to focus on. And I think that might be like one of the struggles that I still have with my podcast and my YouTube channel. I mean, I've only been doing it for a year, so you can't really expect it to be exploding at this point. Like I wish that was the case, but at the same time I do know that any business can take, you know, upwards 2 to 5 years to really hit the ground running. And right now, you know, I mean, it's really the whole reason I started this is because it's what I enjoy. It's a hobby. I fucking love talking to people. I love exploring these topics of like mental health, self-improvement, all these things that I've focused on in this channel. So there's no real pressure on me to try and like make it become something big in the next year. I'm just gonna keep going with it, and I think that over time the results will show for themselves when the people start coming in. And I feel like I have a pretty good following, but again, I'm trying to create like a certain field of people that I can rely on that can really benefit from my message, because um, you know, I still struggle with mental health. I still struggle with. I wouldn't really say that I've been depressed in a long time. I think I've kind of been able to keep depression at bay. Anxiety's been one that has fluctuated, but I really am a dude that has like just the utmost of like OCD, like this obsessive compulsive, well, that's what OCD stands for, is obsessive compulsive disorder. And sometimes it's beneficial. Like sometimes it's okay to be obsessive. Like it's good to be perfectionistic when it comes to editing videos, making sure that everything is on point for the YouTube channel, for the ideas. That's kind of like the aspect of it that makes me want to get better. But then the dark side, everything is a double-edged sword. The dark side of that OCD is when it starts to infiltrate how you connect and relate to other people. And that's something that I notice a lot, is this like, it's not a thought. It's not a thought that arises in my mind when I'm talking to somebody. It's more or less a behavioral pattern that I've fallen into, that I feel like when I'm there, there's this sense of like me wanting to control, or like thinking very hard about what I want to say, And it's extremely damaging and discouraging in having these conversations with people because I don't feel like I'm ever just truly being present and letting the thoughts and the ideas flow to me in the midst of a natural conversation. And so it's just, I mean, it's just been hard, if I'm going to be honest here, to end the year of 2020 and start the year of 2021. Like, I have just, I wouldn't say that I've been a complete and utter mess. I just feel like, I'm struggling to keep things together. And I think a lot of people are like that, and that's where I get some comfort in admitting these things because I know I'm not the only one going through it. But it's just hard because it's like a lifelong process of like just trying to get better with anxiety, mental health, and like the things that I don't really like about myself, and everybody feels that way too. It's always a back and forth battle of feeling confident, feeling great, feeling like you're conquering life to the fullest, and then there's always that backward period of time where you feel like you become like insecure and everything is opposite of how you felt before. And I just could never really understand the gap between those two things. Is like, I am a person, but the way that I experience things is like, one week I could be extremely confident, witty, funny, willing to engage with people and not let my anxiety deter me from doing that. And then the next week I could be like a completely separate version of myself and be anxious in my head, timid, shy, unapproachable. It's so weird how like we are this one body of work, this one unit of a person, but we like experience all these vastly different like emotions and feelings and ways of thinking about ourselves. But I had this conversation with my cousin yesterday, and I told him, because I mean, we grew up well, yeah, we're cousins. We grew up together, but him and I we became essentially like brothers. Like, we're cousins, and I don't know how to really tie that idea all in together because he had two younger brothers, and then ultimately at one point then had a younger sister. But him and I were pretty close in age with each other. He was only a year above me, and so we kind of flocked to each other growing up. But it was like the relationship that we had got stronger and stronger and stronger as time went on, to a point like when we were in high school where I really felt like we were bros. And some of our like really like early on, like our first experiences of life together and being an adolescent, um, it's something that we talked about. And I told him, like, I just don't understand it because when I was that age, it was weird. Like, I had so much confidence for a kid that really hadn't accomplished anything. Like, I don't know what it was, but I had a way of like communicating with people, just getting the best energy from people. Like, I've always had this knack or this ability to like just relate to others and to, I don't know, just like infect them with my energy. And I told him, I'm like, I don't understand how it's almost like the reverse route unveiled itself when I got older to now, where I feel like and maybe I'm being too hard on myself when I say all this stuff because I know I'm not like I'm not a guy that has the least amount of confidence or self-esteem, but I feel like there are some pretty severe moments when I interact with people where I lack a lot of confidence. And I'm like, what has changed? You feel like as you get older, you would get even more confident. Like, how does your adolescent young self, where you're pretty much just mimicking other people and what they're doing, how do you have more confidence in that frame of mind to please other people than when you get older? And as you get older, you keep finding out who you are each and every year. You keep developing as a human. And he said something to me that made so much sense, and I've never thought about it before. But he said, maybe it's not really that you've lost anything per se in terms of like your confidence, but maybe you've just become more honest with yourself. And I think that it just kind of struck me as true because I really it's not that I was a huge liar as a kid, but I mean, I think we all, yeah, I mean, if you were a smart kid, you twisted reality against your parents to get your way, and I definitely had my occasions where I pulled those strings to get what I wanted. But um, it seems as though as I've gotten older, I have become more truthful, more honest, and I'm more aware, I think, of what all is going on and how I interact with people. Whereas a kid, I don't know where this confidence came resonating from, but it was coming from some weird source, some place, and it worked for me. But as a kid, it's kind of hard to assess what was going on in my mind because I was just a kid. I don't really know what I was thinking about when I was just like going up to crowds of people or like talking to girls. Like I just, for some reason, I had that confidence, and it's weird. But kind of another big point that we reached in that conversation yesterday was, and this is something I think about all the time too, and this is good advice for anybody that's feeling down, lonely, or they don't feel good about themselves and who they are, which I struggle with from time to time. It's really like a destructive habit, tendency of mine, and I don't know why I do it, but I just really analyze like my interactions and who I am, and if I feel like it's not good or it's not adequate or I'm not having a good time with interacting with people, then I'm like, then something's wrong with me. Like, where is that confidence? But I guess really the thing that I think about, and then what we talked about is, you're it doesn't. I mean, it does matter who you are in the present moment, but I think people should give themselves more credit, and I'm speaking to myself here because this is something that I need to do as well if I'm going to preach it. But just try and focus more on your strengths, like the things that you are really good at, and know that over time you are going to become a different person. And like I have this really weird thought every time I turn, a year older and I look back at the year prior and I'm like, like, so for instance, right now I'm 23. I'm going to be 24 in March. And every time I turn a year older, I look back at the previous year and I'm like, I thought I had a lot of answers the year before. And come to find out, like, I wasn't very close. Like, each year, it's just like you get equipped with more knowledge and more understanding of yourself. And I think that's like the really, really a beautiful thing about life is the progression of a human and trying to get rid of that mask, like that social identity. And I think that's my problem. I think like truly underneath a lot of myself is like a really beautiful person. I'm genuine, I'm honest, I'm sometimes very courageous. I tell the truth, I'm charismatic, I'm good looking. Not to toot my own horn, but I feel like as the years go on, I will start to believe that stuff even more as long as I continue with self care, taking care of myself, minimizing anxiety and depression. And I think we all have to give ourselves a lot of credit for just being able to survive through this last year. And I think that's the source of many of our issues. And what I was telling my cousin yesterday, because like I said earlier in this video, I am not around people all that often. And so if I spend too much time in my apartment on video games, doing something that's not natural, looking at a screen, when I finally do go out and talk to a person, interact with another person, it feels so robotic because I haven't done it in such a long time. And I think this year, like having masks on our face, and I'm not even talking about as a safety measure. I'm just saying humans need to see other humans' faces. They need to see that you're smiling. They need to get those non-verbal cues from people. It's making us act in ways that we're not used to, and I think it's messing with us mentally because you're less willing to approach people or to talk to them, and you get more in your head about like where should the conversation go. And maybe people don't understand this like I do, but these are the things that I think about. And I mean, to some extent, like I just hate it because I know that a lot of people, it doesn't even come across their minds when they're having a conversation with somebody. But for me, it's like when that thought arises, I cannot get my attention off of that. I need to be better with meditation because I know that would help me out a lot. But yeah, and it's something that's really hard to complain about because like we're still going through the stuff. We're still required to wear a mask in certain places to hopefully like get through this thing. But I'm just trying to be honest here that this is very frustrating to still be going through. And I really think it's hurting us on a level that not a lot of people are thinking about. Like, I understand, like, we're trying to protect people, but at the same time, we are doing some pretty severe mental, emotional damage to us because we're not allowed to be around people. We're not allowed to hug, handshakes, like all those things. I think they're important, like physical touch, smiles, like being a guy, trying to approach a lady, and you don't get you don't get that seal of approval from her. Like that's normally how it would be, right? So you're not coming in as a creep when you see a girl in public and you see her and you smile and you make eye contact and then she smiles back. That's usually the initiation. Like she's giving you that okay to come and approach her. And now you don't have that. And maybe I'm making too many excuses, but it's just frustrating, man. And I think that's a big source of a lot of people's problems and probably for me too. I just in December and January, I've like really been going through this back and forth battle of like feeling okay, feeling all right, but then feeling like I'm going back through some really tough shit, not like trauma or like PTSD, but just feeling like, I'm kind of reverting back to my old ways and I just miss human interaction, man. I miss connecting with people and it's hard not to like want to force that if you haven't had it for a long time. And oddly enough, through feeling lonely, I don't feel depressed. It's weird. I feel like I've actually become comfortable in now that I've been living in my own apartment since the beginning of August, but I think it weighs on us at some point. Like, yeah, it's good to be independent, but we're also still very interdependent people, and we need other people to survive and, to have that community aspect, to like have a tribe and feel like you connect with people. And it's been stripped away from us. And so I don't really know what else to say. I let off this video with saying that I was going to talk about traveling and stuff. And I guess that still kind of correlates to the topic that I ended up going over, but yeah, it's just been a weird time, and I'm sure I'm not the only person to say this, but I think talking about this stuff, for one, it gets me out of my head. It makes me think about it and sort it out in my head instead of letting it ruminate. But I think it also opens up a lane of conversation. And I think that's really a beautiful thing about why it's one of the biggest reasons why I make these videos is because I don't always know where they're going to go, but I know that in the end, once I push through that like first initial phase of like it being awkward and me feeling like I'm kind of like going in circles, I usually hit a rhythm at some point and get onto a topic that is a good food for thought. And so, um, yeah, that's my video. I guess that's what I came up with today. But anyways, there's a lot of exciting things in the work. Like I said, school is starting up again for me. It's my last semester. It's fucking gnarly, dude. I don't know what I'm gonna do once classes are over, but I'm excited to get back and be around people as much as I can be. I got the internship with Matt, and he has his own podcast. He puts out his own YouTube videos. He specializes in something different as far as like he works on scar tissue, like chronic inflammation with people. So it'll be interesting. I don't know what we're going to talk about on Friday on the podcast. Probably something with mental health because I know that he's dealt with that shit too. Um, I'm challenging myself to think of different things to put on the channel. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job of covering a wide variety of topics. I've done like poetry videos. I've done Q&As. I've done the podcast, even though they've been a little sporadic here lately. I did the top 10 albums of 2020. I've done a live video on Facebook about mental health. So, I'm just kind of all over the board. But yeah, I think despite everything that has happened in 2020 to end the year and how it got a little hectic for me at the end of the year and here lately, I'm still actually really happy with my progress, and I need to keep telling myself that And I'm really happy about where things are going. I don't actually know where things are going to go, and that can be scary sometimes, like the fear of the unknown. But um, hopefully, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know a lot of people talk about getting vaccinated and stuff like that, and props to you if you want to get it. Personally, that's not my choice. I'm not going to do it, at least not yet. So I just hope that no matter what happens, here in the next few months we can get ourselves to a place of maybe starting to peel back, because I really think that not only as a nation, like, we need people to work again to keep ourselves established, the economy can be stable and keep going, but I just want, as one of the biggest things that I've focused on in the last few years, my mental health, that's what I want for everybody else, is just to be around each other again. And we've all been so deprived, and not even in a selfish sense of like going out, partying, going to the bars late and shit like that. I really don't do it. I do it every once in a while, but I'm just saying we're deprived of just, I mean, being around people, having fun, going to like concerts. Like, I miss that so much, but hopefully on the horizon, we'll be in the clear. And yeah, that's all I got to say today. I love you guys so much. Thank you for the support. I'm always looking to grow this channel, and even though I may not be as consistent as I'd like to be, just know that this is probably where I want to put all my focus and moving forward in the future. And it's just about getting better as a human, man. Like, that is what this whole process of life is just trying to pretty much conquer yourself and get out of your own way. And no matter how much I struggle with this shit, like, I know that there is a place of freedom, hopefully, somewhere in the distance. But anyways, yes, thank you guys so much. Really, from the bottom of my hearts. Bottom of my hearts? I only have one heart. From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for the support. All right, I will see you later.